Yes, guys, what's happening? Welcome to another episode of the podcast. And I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by co-host George. And it's quite fitting that on the Jubilee weekend, we are joined by Soccer AM royalty, the legend that is Tubes. Mate, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. It's been a long time coming.
Who's called himself Pubes?
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was going up on the screen.
No, it's all good. It's been a long time in the making, but we've got it done. We're here. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. We'd like to kick things off by asking the guests kind of why they support their team and kind of how that came about. Obviously, we know you're a massive Chelsea fan, bumped into you at the Cup final. How long have you been following the Mighty Blues for?
Since I was about 30 years old, not years old. As soon as the first picture of me was obviously me with my mum, and the second picture was with Stanford the Lion, because my dad was a massive Chelsea fan. Massive Chelsea fan. He was the first person in the whole world to have his wedding reception actually on Stamford Bridge.
Really?
Yeah. So it made the papers and all sorts. He's like proper diehard Chelsea, and his ashes now are underneath the ground.
That's amazing.
Yeah, John Terry sorted that out for us. It was amazing. Obviously, it wasn't amazing what happened to him, but it was amazing that John Terry did that for us. So yeah, the second photo of me was with Stanford the Lion. My dad was straight away, boom, there you go, you're a Chelsea fan. So yeah.
So it's very simple as that. I mean, what have you made of Chelsea this season then, Tubes, briefly? Because obviously, you know, there's been a lot going on, as there always has been. A Chelsea fan started the season well, get a few major injuries, Christmas slump, sanctioned, lose 2 cup finals, win a couple of trophies, new owner, we go again. It's never a dull day. With all that that's gone on, what have you kind of made of the season? Are you happy with it, or are you a little bit disappointed?
I think you just summed it up quite nicely, Charlie. That's basically what's happened, and it's been a mad season. But now we've won 2 trophies, and the boys have played well. We, obviously the slip at Christmas harmed us big time. But I spoke to a few of the boys, like obviously doing Soccer AM and stuff, and they were like, "Yeah, it's not affected us. What happened to Roman and stuff like that, but it does." Do you know what I mean? It's like the uncertainty around the football club and stuff like that. For Tommy Tuchel as well, can't have been easy. So, we finished third. I mean, Man City and Liverpool just this season have been, quite frankly, a joke. And, we've had injuries. Obviously, Lukaku hasn't, performed, which we thought, when he played that game against Arsenal, we were like, hang on, here we go. We've got a chance here. Hasn't materialised. And so, all in all, the two cup finals were absolutely gutted about the 2 cup finals on penalties as well. But yeah, it's been a good season.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, looking ahead to the summer, Tuesday, obviously we've got our new owner in now. Transfer rumours are in full swing. Who would you love to see arrive at Chelsea this summer? If you could sign like 1 or 2 players, who would you be going for?
Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Yep. And keep Conor Gallagher.
Yeah.
Yep. It came out yesterday, apparently, you don't know if the media is true, that he's had chats with our man Tommy Tukes and he wants him part of it. But I think Conor is such a good footballer and I think he'll fit in. Look what he did at Palace, and no disrespect to Palace. He was unbelievable. Now he comes to Chelsea with better players. It could be something special. But we need a centre forward and a centre back to replace Rudiger.
Are you like George, Tubes, that you want Lukaku gone, or is it not quite as simple as that?
Well, I don't think he wants to be there. I don't think it's what we want. I think apparently he's told the players he's going back to Italy. It's like
I just don't rate him, Tubes. I just think he's a bit of an old school striker that's a bit slow for. I know he scored a lot of goals in the Premier League and that, but I just think. I don't know. I think gone are the days where you can have a big number 9 and just. I think football's changed a little bit. I know it suits Chelsea, but
sure. I don't think it suits Chelsea. If I'm honest, sorry, I don't think he suits Chelsea. But I think he hasn't really learnt to adapt. He hasn't really. I can't say he's not tried, but I don't know why he did that interview. I don't. I still sit sometimes and think, like, I don't understand. So as soon as he's done that, I'm thinking, well, he's not asked. But the weirdest thing for me about the whole thing was he wasn't playing because he was injured. So I didn't understand it really. And again, I think it's just a business venture that's gone wrong, and apparently he doesn't want to be at the club. So if he doesn't want to be at the club, fans obviously will not want him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought it was a weird one to buy him back. And he looked so good. He looked so promising. Looked like he was loving life,
didn't he?
Yeah, but even when you see him in training now, he looks, looks like he's enjoying it. I don't know about that, children, Charlie. I just don't know what to make of that. It just hasn't worked out. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, George, do you agree with Tubes? You'd like to see Declan Rice come. I know he's quite a polarising figure, particularly on Chelsea Twitter. Probably not the best place to look for decent football opinions. But George, do you be keen for Declan Rice? We need someone in that holding midfield role. 22, 23 years of age. He's a phenomenal football player. I mean, he would make a big difference for sure.
No brainer, absolute no brainer. And we keep bringing the connection with him and Mason Mount, don't we? Best mates. It'd be great for him to come back, especially as he was released as a kid, I think, from Chelsea. One that got away, but he's outstanding. He's only going to get better as well. I think he just brings
exactly that, George. He's like 22, 23, and last season what he did at West Ham was incredible. And Kante is one of my favourite ever Chelsea players. I love that bloke. I was so buzzing. I went to do an interview with Tommy Tuchel, and then I saw Mason outside and Ben Chilwell, and I was chatting. And then from the distance, Kante came walking over, and I was like, look at him. He's just like, I love him. And he just came over and just said hello. And I was like, and I looked behind me. I was like, is he saying hello to him? Look, me. He's like, how you doing? I was like, oh my God, Kante, I just want to cuddle him. I love him, but what I will say is I'm not sure how many years left he's got at the highest level. And he had a few injuries last season, didn't he? Which I still think he's one of the best players we've got. But let's build for the future. And I think you've got to get Declan Rice now, because if we don't, someone else will.
I mean, you touched on it there. We'll get into kind of how you got to where you are a little bit later on, but you touched on it there. You've been able to interview some phenomenal managers, players, etc. What's it like? Obviously, being a Chelsea fan yourself, spending time with the lads. I mean, obviously, we don't get the full picture of what they're like. Obviously, they come across well, etc. What's speaking to Thomas Tuchel like? He seems like to be he's an honest guy. He's very articulate. He seems intelligent, knows what he's talking about. Thought he's handled himself exceptionally well. I mean, what's it like spending time with him? He's
brilliant. I can't speak highly enough. I mean, I've only met him once.
Yeah.
And it was only for the interview was about 8 minutes, because I deliberately speak for like 7 or 8 minutes, because I know if I speak for 25, 30, it'll be great for me. But I know I've only got like 6 minutes interview time on Soccer AM. So I pick 4 strong topics and then see where the conversation goes. So it was for about 8 minutes, but he was brilliant before the interview, after the interview. Like he was saying to the boys when he came outside, because they were doing COVID tests at the time, he was going, oh yeah. And he didn't know I was there. He was going, oh, it was really fun. He was such a nice man. And he was like telling me he's learning golf and stuff like that. But the way he speaks about football was just like on another level. Like his training sessions, he does different training sessions. Like they train on triangle pitches. He puts like tennis balls, half of tennis balls on defenders' hands, so they can't grapple, and they play with size 3 footballs. And I said, why do you do that? And he's like, to make people think different. And I was just like, what a genius. Do you know what I mean? It's little things like that. You think, why are they running around playing with a size 3 football? And he's like, because it gets them outside the box, thinks about like their touch, the passing. And he was just such an interesting man, and really funny as well.
Do you reckon he's obviously learning golf, potential collab on Golf Life in a few months' time?
He's actually learning at my golf club. He's having lessons.
It's got to happen then, hasn't it?
Oh, I've been on him. But, it hasn't happened yet, but hopefully, yeah.
It could be close. I mean, obviously, Tubes, everyone knows you from Soccer AM, but I mean, how did you kind of get from kind of the beginning to kind of where you're at now? What was your kind of process into getting into Soccer AM, and how did that kind of come about?
Did work experience when I was 16, because my mum used to teach Martin Tyler's children at school. So I did 1 week in a golf shop when I didn't even like golf, bizarrely. This is back in the day when I was 16. And then Martin Tyler said, does he want to go and do a week's work experience at Sky Sports? And I was like, well, I love football and that'd be amazing. And like, so the first day I went there, they went, oh, you're on this program, this new program called Soccer AM. And I was like, oh, I know that. I watch it. And it was only like a year or two old. Because my uncle Steve, who's also a massive Chelsea, was he loved it. And he said, you've got to watch this new football show on Sky Sports. So I used to go around his house and watch it. So I knew everyone. I knew Lovejoy, I knew Sheephead, I knew Fenners, the Tramp. Look at all these names, by the way. The Tramp, Sheephead. It's so random. So I knew all the characters. So when I walked in the office, I was like, oh, like this is amazing. And then obviously Tim was a Chelsea fan, and he was like, oh, you'll be all right. We'll get on well, sort of thing. And then basically I just never left. I literally stayed there. I went in every Saturday morning for free, like, and just made teas and coffees for all the guests. But as a 16-year-old, to meet like every week, like meeting a footballer and, a film star or whatever, was like, I was like, this is mad. So all my mates were like, you coming out Friday night? I was like, no. I'm doing Soccer AM tomorrow. So I just never left really. And then I was like 1 day away from going to university, and I got a call from this woman at Sky saying, I've just had Tim Lovejoy up in the office. He says, you can't go to university. And I was like, what? He's like, he says, we have to make you a job. There's no space on Soccer AM, but he's told me to create a job for you. So if you want it, tomorrow you start as a runner, which in TV terms is like, just making teas, like just to like do whatever you're told to do in the sports library. So I literally phoned up the university and went, I ain't coming tomorrow. They're like, you what? It was a bit of a stitch up, really. So yeah, and then it just progressed from there, really.
Fair. Can't really argue with that. I mean, do you remember do you remember how you felt before your first episode on Soccer AM? Can you remember what you did?
I was there for years, just behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like just making. So I can't. It's a good question. I can't really remember now, but it would have been literally go and get that person, make them tea, get them breakfast. So yeah, I was there since I was 16. Just doing. I was really good at making cups of teas. honestly, I had
Yeah, mate, my team, milk first or tea bag first?
Oh, you got to go tea bag first.
Yeah, you got to. Come on.
Can't have that sort of behaviour, can you?
I know some people are putting milk in first and all sorts. I just looked at them and I was like disgusted. Like, what are you doing? You'll never make it at Sky Sports, young man, if you do it that way. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, early days Soccer AM, obviously, kind of a little bit different to what it's like now, Tubes. You had a little slot with a question where you'd obviously come on, do a bit of a rap, ask a question to someone, and then chuck something over yourself, make a noise, and leave. I mean, how did that little segment even come about?
So even before that, you two boys are probably too young. Like, so I was working in the sports library, as I said, and then I was doing Saturdays on Soccer AM. And on, I think it was a Thursday or something, Lovejoy called me and said, can you come up to the office? I went, yeah, all right. And he went, that little shit Rocket, he's gone on holiday. You don't do that. You don't do that at Soccer AM. And at the time, he was Heidi. He was dressed as a German girl. Like, this is so random. But he used to bring the balls out for the end game.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. He's like, he's gone skiing. It's unacceptable. He's like, so do you want to be a character? I was like, oh no, I don't. I'm not sure I want to be on TV, sort of thing. And I said, what is it? He went, oh, you're going to be Peter the Test Tube Baby. I was like, you what? I was like, well, explain me that then. What is that? And he said, basically we're thinking of like, because you're quite like a hairy man. I was like, right. He was like, we're going to put you in a nappy. And I was like, what? He was like, basically, you're going to have you can have like can of beer, like a fake cigarette, and like you'll bring out the balls, and it will be the conga music. And I was just looking at Tim Lovejoy like, It was like, just do it once, see how it goes. And I went, I was like, what? It was like November. It was like below freezing. And I've got to go out as a 16-year-old chubby kid with a hairy chest as a baby. So I thought, I was like, go on then. So I did it and everyone loved it. And then they had a vote the week Rocket got back. Shall we keep Heidi or Peter the test tube baby? And the viewers voted for keeping the test tube baby. So I did that for like 3 years. And it was just like, what? Like my mum and dad were like, that's our son. You go, boy.
Wait, is that where the name Tubes come from then?
Yeah. So basically, I found out a few months later, Peter and the Test Tube Babies was a band apparently in the 70s. Never heard of them. Don't know any of their songs. So that's where Tim or whoever came up with the name got the name. I mean, I don't know how they thought of it. I've got to be honest. It's so bizarre, but that's what Soccer AM was and still is, like just random ideas. Let's give it a go. So yeah, they cut Peter the Test Tube Baby down to Tube. So anyway, after like 3 years of doing that, freezing my tits off in a car park, bringing balls out, doing a conga dance, they went, it's getting a bit boring now, isn't it? I was like, yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. And also I can't feel my nipples either. But yeah, let's get. So they went, so basically the last show of one of the seasons, Tim went, next year, you're going to have your own segment. And I went, oh, what? I said, what am I doing this time? He said, you're going to come on. I was like, what, live? He's like, yeah, and you've got one question and one question only. And it's up to you, but you've got 3 lives. So if you muck up the first one, you're down to 2. And if you basically, if you don't do it, if you don't perform in 3, that's it, your segment's finished. So I was like, I don't know what you said. You've got one question only. Ask what you want. And I went, so I had all summer, like just bricking myself, like proper bricking myself, going, what do I do, sort of thing. Asking my mates, they were like, yeah, and they'd just come up with stupid ideas. I was like, I can't do that on live TV, you dicks. You know what I mean? So I remember it well. It was. Do you remember the old footballer, Frank Worthington?
Vaguely.
Yes.
So basically, he was a fantastic footballer, but he was also, he liked, outside of football, he liked the ladies and stuff like that. So I thought, so I've rocked up first show of the first of the new season. I've just rocked up like that, shaking like that. Everyone's like, Tubes' question. I'm literally holding the microphone like that. And I was like, you've got one question and one question. Who's it to? And I was like, it's for Frank. And I went, all right, Frank. He went, all right, Tubes. I went, did you score more on or off the pitch? And it was just dead silent.
Oh, no.
It was so embarrassing. I thought I was trying to be funny. And he was like, and he went, yeah, probably on the pitch. And I was like, okay, thanks, Frank. Like that. And as I walked, it was so the worst. I can't, if that footage still exists, I do not want to see it. And Tim went live on air to me. He went, too bad. And when I went backstage, I was nearly being sick. Everyone was like, yeah, it was all right, wasn't it? Like, you just knew that the people were just going, that was...
They weren't happy with that.
That was the biggest car crash you'll ever see.
Do you reckon is that the most embarrassing one, do you reckon?
Oh, there's plenty more embarrassing ones.
Yeah. What worse than that one?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Did they ever get prepped for it, Tubes? Did you ever have to give them a heads up, say, I'm not going to tell you the question, but you are going to come out and do something that might because some of them just had some of the reactions they get, they just haven't got a clue what's going on. No,
because that's the whole fun of it, wasn't it? So so basically the second one I did was to Razor Roddick, and he was also Razor Roddick, Ricky used to go to, like, I get brought up in Surrey, which is quite it's quite a nice area, do you know what I mean? It's like, but I used to go to school with some like children, kids and stuff like that who spoke like they were gangsters. Do you know what I mean? So like, what's up, Rob, and all that, and I'd be like, what? Like, so I thought if I just take that bit and then pretend to be a bit of a rapper, I don't know how or why I came up with this, but I did it anyway. The second one I did, and people like loved it. I think I said you're coming on fresh, and I went or something like that, and it was like I've just arranged it. And then basically after that, Tim Lovejoy was like, "That's excellent. Like, right, carry on with that nonsense and just do it. Just be a rapper, whatever you want to do." But it worked, so it was like, all right, cool. So yeah, but I never really like to tell people what was going on, because if you tell people what's going on, it sort of spoils the fun. But as it went further down the line, and what I started to do, like Hollywood A-listers and stuff like that, they were like, I remember once actually, the weirdest thing ever. Bruce Willis's people came out to me before. They went, we like what you do. I went, right, okay, thanks. I said, it's not really genius, is it? I do a little rap and then ask one question only. They went, yeah, we're just like, do you think you can do the rap, but not to Bruce? And I went, what? I was like, what would you? He was like, no, so you do the rap. And I was like, sorry, I do not understand what you mean. Like, and he was like, and then we're bringing him for the question. We're not sure how we'll take getting rapped at. I was like, I said, come on. I said, look. So anyway, it happened, but he was brilliant with it. He played along. He was like, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. So there's been a few. Who's Justin Timberlake's wife? Jessica.
Oh, what, me? Was it?
No,
Jessica Biel, isn't it? Yeah.
Jessica Biel was great, but there was one called a girl called Jessica Alba.
Oh yeah.
That was proper weird. That was like, because I was just staring at her like that.
They don't look real, sorry, do they?
For ages. I just did it for ages. And then she was like, at the end, she was like, what the was that? Like, and all of her people. I nearly got beaten up by Slash from Guns N' Roses bodyguards.
Was that the one where you done the mashed potato in the guitar shop?
Yeah, that one.
But I've seen that. He had no idea what was going on.
No, but bizarrely, he phoned me up about 2 weeks later. That was the weirdest thing ever. It was when I was drinking. I was in a pub, and Helen Chamberlain said, "Oh, Slash's people want to get hold of you." And I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" I was like, "It's already been in the papers. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset anyone, because I did feel bad, because they he cancelled the meet and greet because he had the ump, and I was gutted. I was like, I didn't mean anything by it. So I got a few people giving me like, why have you done that? And I was like, oh, come on, it's only a bit of a laugh. But anyway, Helen Chamberlain was like, they want to get hold of you. And I was like, I thought I was in for another rollicking sort of thing. So the phone kept ringing. It was like a long, like American number, or just a long number. So I was like, so eventually I picked it up, and it was Slash just going, on the flight back, I actually watched all your stuff, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. So just wanted to say, if you're ever over in LA, come and say hello. I was like, that's mental. So no, that was nice.
I mean, obviously, it's come a long way since those days, Tubes. How did the role kind of evolve then? Obviously, that, I guess, in TV, certain segments kind of get phased out. Things, obviously, times evolve and stuff. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to get away with that sort of thing these days. How did your role kind of evolve then from that, when that little question bit come to an end? What sort of happens next?
I said I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Basically, I didn't find it funny. I thought after 6-7 years, I thought, I was 30 years old at the time. I said, look, it's not funny anymore. Do you know what I mean? It was like flogging a dead horse. So I made the decision, and it didn't go down too well with my bosses at the time. It wasn't Lovejoy. It was when they all left. I remember my boss was like, no, you've got to do it. Like, no, you can't. That's the best bit in the show. I was like, it's not. It really isn't. Even though I was embarrassed doing it, it was part of an act. Do you know what I mean? But I actually dreaded doing it towards the end, because I was like, this is just not funny. Everyone knows what's coming. It's like, I was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to do something else if you still want me to be on the camera. So that's when this transition happened, which it started off a bit different. It wasn't like what I do now. It was some serious questions, some random questions. And I didn't think it worked, because I was still trying to be I was sort of asking a question. I'd be like, I don't know, something about football. And then I go, do you prefer like pineapple or grapefruit? And it was just the most convoluted interviews. And I was like, I've got to stop. You've got to pick one. You're either going to be the silly man or you're going to find out about that individual and have a sort of, I mean, it's not serious chat. It's more about them as an individual, but that's what I wanted to do. So, yeah, that's how that happened.
I mean, in terms of the car park games themselves, I mean, obviously myself and George been on it back in, over 10 years ago now. Back in 2012, we come on for the I think it was the FA Cup final one. It was half Liverpool fans, half Chelsea fans in the Luther Blissett. Yeah. I'll tell you what, mate, in the warm-up for those games, I couldn't get any in. Like it was back when it was just the Premier League trophy, not the top bins now or the League One, League Two stuff. Mate, it's so hard. And then I was missing every single one. George was putting a few in practice, but it comes to the real thing. Step up first shot straight in, and that was that, mate. I've scored on Soccer and completed it. George, how did you get on, mate? I can't remember. It's a while ago now.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie, mate. He brings this up every episode, too. It's honestly, it gets embarrassing now. It's his claim to fame, but
mate, it's a good thing. Not many people can do that.
It was amazing to be in. Yeah.
Who's the best out of the presenters and stuff at the games in the car park?
Bullard.
But obviously the Bulldog,
He's a joke.
Unbelievable. The guy's still got unbelievable technique.
And Fenner's got a bit.
Fenner's back in the day was a good player, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good player. He's still got a bit now. He's still good. Yeah, still good.
I mean, talking of football, Choose, I spoke yesterday to someone that you know quite well, Tom White, Sky Sports.
Yeah, Tom. That got streamed yesterday, didn't it?
Yeah. I spoke to him yesterday. He said that you were quite a handy player. Used to be your gaffer for Saturday football. Said you'd play wherever you wanted you to play, centre back, centre mid, centre forward, whatever. How did you ever try and pursue a career as a footballer, or do you just because I've seen you in charity games as well. Like you've got a bit. You're decent.
Yeah, I was all right. I played for my county. I was playing semi-pro at 16, but then I chose Soccer AM.
Yeah,
because I was never dedicated enough. I think I could have made it if I worked my bollocks off, possibly lower professional or semi-pro. I was never quick enough, but I don't know really, boys, because that's 15, 16. I started doing the drinking thing and stuff like that. So I do remember one of my coaches was called Alex Inglethorpe, and he's now at Liverpool. He's quite a big figure at Liverpool Football Club. He managed Exeter and stuff like that. And he said, he came up to me on the first trial at Leatherhead for the youth team. He was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "What?" He was like, "You shouldn't be here. You should be at a pro club." And I was like, "Oh, wow." But yeah, then I started drinking and stuff like that. So I'm not one of those who's going to say, "Oh, I could have been pro." If I worked my arse, I was never quick enough. You've got to be quick and fit, and I've never had that. So, but I can do kick-ups and stuff like that and put a cup in it. I'm all right.
How much do you enjoy playing in those charity games, though? I guess that I've seen you playing one Goodison Park a few years back. I mean, do you enjoy doing that? Is it it must be a great buzz, to play on those in those stadiums, and even if it's a charity game, still putting the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing, and it's like the best thing about it for me is that we raise. I think we've raised over $1 million for charity, which is amazing. You know what I mean? So that's the best thing about it. But yeah, it's so lucky. When I played at Stamford Bridge, I was like, I'm so lucky. And we were the first. We had a team at Soccer AM called the Soccer AM Badgers. I don't know why we're called the Badgers. I honestly don't know. But we were the first team to play at the new Wembley.
Oh, it's wicked.
And that was what an experience, man. It was like, oh my God. So, like Villa Park and good. That was brilliant. That Goodison really was a good one. So yeah, I'm very lucky. So
yeah, I mean, there are quite a few clips of you at the Goodison one, of your Ranger passing.
I'll tell you what, though, Soccer AM have absolutely hammered that clip, though, haven't they?
Oh, mate, it gets recycled. It does the rounds.
It's on like every 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, lads, ladies, please stop. I mean, everyone's like, yeah, we get it. We had a good game. I'm like, it's not me. It's not me. Like, they just.
Mate, do you get people asking you like, oh, why'd you keep putting your clips on?
Oh, mate, it's like, oh, is this the one you used about 3 days ago? I'm like, oh, no, I don't have any control of that. I would never put it out again. But when they first did that for me, I was like, wow, that's cool. That's amazing. But after it being shown about 320 times, I'm a bit like, no, God. But no, it was an amazing day, that. And I played well.
Tubes, who's a player that you played with in those charity matches who's still got a bit in terms of an old legend, maybe, who can still mix it?
Great question.
They've all obviously still got ability, but who's got it?
Oh, it's a great question. Let me have a think. What a great question.
Have you played with Merce?
Yeah.
Merce is class, isn't he?
Merce is ridiculous, isn't he?
Unbelievable. He played a charity match, and all he did was use the outside of his foot, outside of his boot. It was incredible. He's up there, Yeah. He's up. There's so many. Look, there's so many. Like the ones that have sort of just come out as well. They're just different. Wes Brown the other week, a few months ago. I was like, this is a joke. I feel gutted now because I know there's going to be loads that I think.
Is Bullard still decent?
Yeah, but do you know what? With the sort of like people who've got on a bit, like they got injuries. So Jimmy had a bad injury when he's a player, so he's still amazing. Do you know what I mean? They're all still amazing, but they just don't go full throttle because they know their legs are going to be, goose. Wayne Bridge is another one, still incredible. But every time
I can imagine JT. Is JT still good? You played with JT?
JT, I have played with him. I mean, he could still play. He could still play. He's incredible, to be fair. But it's different level. It's different level. I think I was a good player. Well, I am a good player. But then when you play with them and they're like, just stand there, you get it. You're like, what? And you get it. And it's like, what? It's on another level. They're incredible.
I mean, obviously, you've played, you've interviewed a lot of top. What's it like interviewing top players? Because I imagine, these are guys that you've looked up to, you've followed for years. Some of them could be idols and stuff. I mean, that must be an amazing experience. And I know you only get like a short amount of time. How much prep and stuff goes into, what you're going to ask? And obviously, you've got your kind of your own unique style. You always make it fun. I've seen stuff you've done with Declan Rice, stuff you do with managers, players. It's always something a little bit different to kind of just your standard interview and questions. I mean, how hard has it been to kind of develop your own interviewing technique, I suppose? Because these players get interviewed all the time. You've got to try and stand out a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people say, footballers are boring or football managers are boring, but they're not. They're not. They are not. They just get asked, in my opinion, boring questions where they can only give boring answers. So when I first started doing it, I was like, I more want to find out about them as a person and have a laugh and find out their true character. And that's where the Golf Channel has been really good because we do like a long form. Do you know what I mean? So what I do, I have a start question and then like an end question and then 2 or 3 things that I want to talk about. And research is key. You need to know everything about that person before you go in, even though it's, maybe a 10-minute interview or 8 minutes, whatever it is. You need to go. But I like to treat it as a pub chat, if you know what I mean. So you have a start and end, and in the middle is 2 or 3 things. But if it goes off there, you go with it. You don't just go, right, that's my question, so I ask that, then I've got to ask that. If you don't ask the ones in the middle, then you don't. As long as the stuff in the middle is good. Sounds very confusing, but it works in my head, if you know what I mean. It's just a chat for 10 minutes, like with your mate.
And do you find players are generally always quite receptive to it? In general, I'm not asking to name any names or anything, but do you get any occasions where players aren't that keen for the interview, or you don't get much back from them in the way of answers and it kind of makes it drag on a little bit, or are they all pretty open, pretty forthcoming? Because because in the media, you kind of sometimes get footballers get a bad rap, don't they? They're not nice people and this and that. Then that's couldn't be further from the truth from your experience.
No, not at all. It's like that. They're just young fellas, or started doing women the last 2 or 3 years who are very good at football. Do you know what I mean? It's like they know I'm there to have a laugh, and by having a laugh, you normally get more stuff out of them about important stuff because they're relaxed and going, oh, this guy's just just here to just muck around. So I've never really had anyone that's been arsey. A couple of managers are hard to deal with, when I say hard to deal with, it's just they don't want to play along. But only 2 or 3. All the players have been great. I think it's because they know I'm not going to say, so are you moving this summer? There's a transfer coming up. Oh, it's a big game at the weekend. You've got to win. Of course they've got a bloody win. Do you know what I mean? I do care about that stuff, but it's good to go, what's it like in training? And then just find out different stuff about them and then let them. The biggest thing for me, is the biggest compliment is when someone goes, I thought that guy was a boring idiot, or I thought he was but he's actually a really, really top bloke. So I've done my job because people are seeing that person for who they are, not just big game coming up. Yeah, we've got to win, game of 2 halves. Do you know what I mean? So that's my biggest compliment when people say lovely stuff about the person that I'm interviewing.
Yeah, for sure. Just wanted to ask one thing quickly, Tubes. Obviously, you interviewed Christian Eriksen the other week. The 2 of you have obviously been through kind of slightly similar things. Obviously, yourself had a heart attack a few years back, and Christian Eriksen obviously suffered his cardiac arrest. What was that like as a moment, for the both of you to come through something, very life-threatening, touch or go, to then both be able to sit together and have a chat? I mean, how was that for you? Was that a good one?
Yeah, really good one. I found it quite therapeutic, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
It just happened to be filmed, which I think. Do you know what? I don't watch my stuff back, but I think that I did watch that one back because I was quite. I wouldn't say proud, but I wanted to see how it came across. And do you know what? I thought you've done all right there, Pete. You've done, or Pubes as I call him myself.
Yeah.
No, it was nice. It was nice because I haven't really met anyone who's had a cardiac arrest, stroke, heart attack before. I can't think I have anyway. So yeah, to talk through about his day, and it was different because his happened like that.
Yeah.
I went through in this front room actually. I went through all the sort of like arm going numb, leg going numb, falling over. So I had all that build up to it. So when I was asking him, I was like, do you get panicky now? And he's like, no, not at all. Because I don't remember anything. I just went bang, had it, hospital bed. So, I mean, I'd love to have done that in a long form interview, like much longer, because there were so many things that I took out of it and stuff like that. But it's therapeutic. It was nice. It was, I thought it was good.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just to wrap up briefly then, golf life, kind of a fairly new venture for yourself and Big Ange. How did that come about, and how much you enjoying doing that? I mean, some of the videos on there are great. I mean, I particularly enjoyed, some of Jermaine Pennant's stories, Crouchy. It must be a great laugh. How did that sort of come about?
6 years ago, 6 years, 2 days ago, I admitted I had a massive problem with alcohol, which I did, real massive. I don't think I'd be here now, to be honest, if I didn't give up. So I made a decision, obviously for myself and obviously my family and friends around me, that enough was enough. So I was like, right, there's no pub, there's no 3-day benders going to watch a Chelsea match and stuff like that. And I was like, what can I do? I was like, what does an alcoholic do apart from get off his tits on alcohol? So I was like, well, how can I see my friends? Because at first it was hard because my whole life was, revolved around alcohol. It really was. I'd look at the Chelsea fixture list at the start of the season, like, oh mate, I hope we're at home first and stuff like that. But with my alcoholic mind on, I was looking for Saturday evening games. I was like, yes, because people knew towards the end that I had a problem, but I wouldn't admit it. You know what I mean? So I was looking at Chelsea going, right, the Sunday, brilliant. That's 3-day, and it was all just getting too much. So I was like, what do I do? And so I started playing golf because I did like golf before. I did like golf, but I was like, I'm going to take it up. It's good to get out. I started doing the gym and stuff like that. And in between that and stuff, I had the heart attack, which was 2 years later after admitting I was an alcoholic. So that was a bit of a kick in the cock as well. That was a bit of a setback. But anyway, that's a different story. So about 3 years ago, my brother said, so many people who love golf, this YouTube thing everyone's starting to do YouTube and stuff like that. Why don't we give it a go? So I was like, obviously I had full-time Soccer AM. I was like, all right. I was like, come on, let's give it a go. So I phoned up JT. I phoned up quite a few of the boys like that I know who love golf, Bullard. And we were thinking of doing this, boys. Would you be up for it? And they were so nice. They were so nice, Charlie, so nice, George. They were like, anything for you, mate. Whatever you want, we'll be there. And I was like, that's so nice. So we started doing it. We got a load of stuff in the bank. And then about 3 years old now, I think. We started releasing it, and it's going good. I love it. I love it so much. Like, golf's been so helpful for me. With obviously all the stuff. Well, I say all the stuff, like, giving up drinking, basically. It's been great. And people seem to like it. So yeah, it's going good. I love it. And for me, it's brilliant because you can find out so much more about that individual. Like I was saying to you guys earlier about, Tommy Tuchel speak for 10 minutes, 8 minutes max, because I know that I'll be wasting his time if I speak for half an hour. But you get him on a golf course, you go through his whole life. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because they're like 45, 50-minute pieces. And I love it so much because I love golf and I love finding out about people and stuff like that. And we've had some really good, like, Kieran Dyer was one that really stuck out for me. Like, all the comments down below. Like, I'm a proper YouTuber now. All the comments down below.
Yeah.
But all the comments written below were like, "Dear Kieran, if you're reading this, I'm so sorry. I thought you were, but you are actually a wonderful human." I was so buzzing with that. It was so buzzing because Pete, the media made him out to be like a wild child, always causing trouble, and like, he wasn't. He's just a lovely man. And that's what, again, going back to what I'm saying or said before, people, I love that when people say you're a legend or whatever about that person. So that was good. So we want to really kick on with that as well.
That's why I really like the Mike Dean one as well, because again, you get the perception of him being just a tosser, ref or whatever, who just, no one likes because he's always going to make a wrong decision for everyone who's involved. And then you get him on and he seems just a normal bloke. That's why I'm so envious of people who play golf, because like you said, you can really get to know a person by just doing a round of golf. So I've always been jealous because I've never been good enough to go round a course. But he just seems so like you could just meet him in the street and just be a normal bloke.
But exactly that, George. Exactly that. It was like I was like, this guy is brilliant. I was like, he was doing his. Did you see when he did his celebration when he got the birdie? Yeah. I was like, and he was like, I really, really enjoyed that, because as a ref, you don't, all we do is upset people. Do you know what I mean? We're only going to upset one set of fans with a decision we make, and we never really get, a platform to, find out the real, Mike Dean. Do you know what I mean? And that was another one of my favourites. I thought he was amazing. It's a good place as well to talk about mental health and, alcohol and stuff like that, because a lot of the people who come on, have gone through, those sort of subjects. So you get a good chunk of time to talk about that, and then prick around at the same time doing birdie dance. Nice. I appreciate you guys watching. Yeah, I love it. It's good.
No, it's great. I mean, just last question to round out, Tubes. Obviously, channel's been going for a couple of years or so. Who's someone that you'd love to get on that hasn't been on yet?
One of my dreams when we started it was to get Gianfranco Zola on.
Oh,
and we got him. He came on.
Yeah, you got him.
He came on, and it was like, I was like, oh wow. I was like, this is literally the first hole. We're walking down the fairway. I'm just like, that's Gianfranco Zola. I was like,
is that your favourite Chelsea player of all time? Is it?
I think so. Yeah. Him, Super Frank, JT. I love Kante. There's so many.
What is it with JT? Sorry. So what is it with JT nicking 20 quids off everyone from his rounds of golf. He's doing the rounds, isn't he? Does it on his
all
Instagram with everyone.
all he posts on Instagram, Tubes, is himself just nicking people's money after golf.
Yeah, he's banned it. He's a golfer, you know. He's proper. He's down to like. I think he got down to scratch. I think he's gone a bit up now. But
have you had him on?
Yeah, he's been on. He was one of the first ones. He was one of the first ones we went to because we knew he loved his golf. And John Terry is like obviously up there for me. But you know what he did for my dad was, I can never ever forget that. I can never ever forget what he did. Literally dug a hole in the ground. He got the groundsman to dig a hole to put his dad's ashes in. So, you know, that's unbelievable. Frank's been amazing over the years with me as well. Like when I had the heart attack, he was on the phone and stuff like that. So like that. But I'd probably say, well, I used to watch. I used to get before, because when Zola was there, I was quite young. So I used to go and watch. I used to get there early to watch him warm up. So that probably is my hero. Yeah, like what a player. And do you know what?
Yeah.
The nicest man you'll ever meet. Honestly, boy, he's just so lovely. He was saying thanks to me at the end of the 4 holes.
Hang on about.
I was like, mate, you don't have to say anything to me. Like, and he was like, no, I don't normally do any of this stuff. I don't really like he was like, I really had a good day, and then sent a message afterwards, voice note, which I've saved, kept. I'll just keep playing it every day when I wake up.
Yeah.
So that was a dream. That was a dream of mine to have him on. So he came on. Who else? Do you know what? I'd like to get Sir Alex Ferguson on.
Oh yeah, that'd be unbelievable.
Because he likes golf, and I just love to find out the real him. I'd love to find it because all you hear like the hair dryer, like, you know, he's this, but apparently he's really, really funny.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think it will happen. We can dream, but that's weird coming from a Chelsea fan. But I've had my Chelsea heroes on.
But he's iconic. He's iconic at the end of the day, isn't he? So it's one of them. I mean, does Jose play golf?
No.
Oh, he'd be great to have on, wouldn't he?
I'd love to have him. Do you know what? He is one funny man.
Yeah.
Jose Mourinho, honestly, it was so weird. He was always difficult with me at Man United. It was always like he didn't like. It was. I always remember that story with Jose Mourinho. It was they called me up, the Sky people, and said, "Look, Jose doesn't want to do it with this person. He refuses to speak to this person. So we're going to send you to." So I went, "Oh, great, cheers."
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, sweet. So I sound big-headed here, but I text some of the boys, John Terry and all that. I said, "Is he all right?" Like, you know, he's like, "Oh, don't worry, Geese. He loves you." I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, honestly, he used to buzz up you watching all the, you know, Soccer AM when we were all together." I was like, "Oh, that's all right." So I was like, "Cool." So I've gone up there. I spoke to Karen, the press officer at United. She was like, "Oh, good luck today." I was like, "What?" He was like, "Oh, he's not in a good mood today." I'm like, "Is she winding me up?" Anyway, Jose's like, he's come through the door. So I'm thinking he's like, oh, he knows Soccer AM. John Terry says, like, he really likes me and all that. So I've gone, "Hey, all right, mate, how you doing?" And he just looked at me like, "I'm good." I'm like, "Oh, God." Like,
oh, no.
So, like, he sat down and he got his phone out and went, 10 minutes, go. Like that. And the cameraman weren't even ready. So I love him. And one of the cameramen is called Rob. He's starting to panic and started to go really quick trying to do all the stuff, but he's tripped over one of the camera lights like that. So
couldn't write it.
Jose's there. I'm like that, and I'm laughing, and he must be able to see my head and like shoulders for that. Karen, the press officer, is over there. She's going, Do not laugh. I'm like, I can't. She's saying don't laugh, so I'm laughing even more. He's there fuming with his stopwatch, his phone. So the interview went all right. It went all right, and then so I was like, oh, they were lying. He didn't know who it was or anything like that. But then when I went to Spurs to see him, he was brilliant. I was like, I thought you hated me. He was like, no, I just wasn't happy. Like he was like, and I was mucking around. I was like, so since then, not that I'm mates with him or anything like that. I'm not. Every time I see him, he's like, hey, how you doing? So that was good because I loved him at Chelsea.
No, man, so I love him.
Yeah, he would be good. And I'd love to get Rory McIlroy on.
Yeah.
Or Tiger Woods, obviously, but everyone's
obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not bad that.
Yeah, exactly. So that'd be my sort of dream people. That sound I don't know why people watch this will be Chelsea fans going, Sir Alex Ferguson. But I'm intrigued by the man.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's had a fascinating life. I mean, and what a guy. I mean, obviously, conscious of time, Choose, that seems like a good point to round out. George, anything to add before we finish up, mate?
No, other than just to thank you for your time, Choose. I know it's been a long time coming, but you're extremely busy, and to give your time to us, it means the world for us. So really appreciate it.
Work as well. Keep smashing it.
No, I really appreciate that, Choose. If people want to check out more of your stuff, socials, Tube Soccer AM and Golf Life on YouTube, they should subscribe.
Lovely. And let me know if you need anything else, boys. And like and subscribe to the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, you heard it from Choose. Make sure you do that. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Take care, up the Chelsea, and we'll catch you again soon. Cheers.
Link down below and all that, yeah? Swipe up.
That's exactly it. Do what he says.